A near-capacity crowd on hand at the Coliseum in Richfield, the last season for the Cavaliers in this building. Next year, they'll move to the beautiful new arena that will seat more than 20,000 in downtown Cleveland. Pat Riley and the Knicks facing the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, a team that is depleted, as we've spoke of already. More on that. We'll hear from the coach of the Atlanta Hawks. John, I can't forget his past. The coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Mike Fratello.
Coached by Pat Riley.
And now we'll get the lineups for tonight's game.
The trainer is Mike Saunders. And now here is tonight's starting lineup for the New York Knicks. At forward, 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, Charles Oakley. At forward, 6'10" from Pittsburgh, number 54, Charles Smith. At guard, 6'5" from Oklahoma State, number 3, John Starks. At guard, 6'4" from Marquette, number 25, Doc Rivers. And at center, 7 from Georgetown, number 33, Patrick Ewing. The Cleveland Cavaliers are coached by Mike Fratello, with assistant coaches Richie Armato, Ron Rothstein, and the trainer Gary Briggs. And now, ladies and gentlemen, up on your feet to meet your Cleveland Cavaliers.
Not really.
Number 18, John Williams. At forward, 6'6" from Arizona, number 24, Chris Mills. At guard, 6'6" from Tennessee, Chattanooga, number 21, Gerald Lucas. At guard, 6 foot from Georgia Tech, number 25, Mark Rose. And at center, 7 foot from North Carolina, number 43, Brad Doherty.
It's the 5th straight opening night loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but of course Mike Fratello was not a part of that. But he's already got some injury problems. Terrell Brandon out with mononucleosis, and we learned earlier this evening that Larry Nance, the 3-time All-Star and 12-year veteran, will now be out with surgery that he'll have on Tuesday. And of course the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers will have to adjust.
Well, the arthroscopic procedure that will be performed Tuesday on Larry Nance was after a small trial and error period. We gave him 3 days of practice. He played in the first game 20 minutes. The knee did not respond, so we must do the procedure to try and get him back midway during the season. In his place, Chris Mills, the rookie, will start along with Hot Rod Williams and Brad Doherty. And now we need those guys off the bench, like the Tyrone Hills and Danny Ferris, to step up and play big.
Well, John, it's an early opportunity for Chris Mills, who was drafted number 22 in the first round, the one-time player who was thought to be a lottery pick, who is driven, he says, in the early part of this season to prove all those teams that let him slip by in the draft that they were wrong. So maybe that can work in the Cavaliers' favor.
He certainly started out well the other night against Milwaukee, as Mike Fratello begins this game with a little personal prayer. And we'll see a lot of Mills tonight, that's for sure.
Brad Doherty will jump it up against Patrick Ewing, Gerald Wilkins, and Charles Smith, Hot Rod Williams, and Charles Oakley. Chris Mills, the behind advantage over John Starks, and Mark Price with Doc Rivers. Officials for tonight's game, veteran Jack Madden, Nolan Fine. Hot Rod Williams for Doherty, the soft touch. They want to get him some more shots than they did on Friday night. He only took 10, and he's a much bigger part of the Cleveland offense than that.
Well, the pressure's reading the Knicks results now in a turnover. Mike Fratello is bringing an aggressive style to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He wants his team to play tougher, and that's what they presented the Knicks with.
So it will be Cavaliers ball. Out to Mark Price.
Doc Rivers had a lot of success against Mark Price last year.
Gerald Wilkins with a beauty. Gerald had more assists than points and rebounds combined on Friday night. He said it may have been the worst game he's ever played in the NBA, so he'll be looking to atone early. And a foul on Doherty with Ewing popping out from down low.
Yes, when Gerald had to handle the ball, he didn't do a good job of it. He really had a horrendous game, didn't want to even think about it. So, you know, he's anxious to make up for that. Also against his old team, you know he wants to turn it on.
Tight pressure by Cleveland early. Ewing slides underneath with a good-looking bounce off the glass. And Mark Price brings it across again. Doherty spins from Ewing. One center answering the other.
Well, Patrick was made to look bad on that move by Doherty, who's not particularly fast. But it was well executed.
Charles Smith can't get it to fall. Cavaliers push it up the floor. Wilkins guarded by Starks. 8 on the 24-second clock as Doherty bangs again inside. Hot Rod Williams with the foul.
You can see Doherty, Al, starting his game down low. Under Lenny Wilkins, Doherty spent a lot of time out high around the foul line. But now he's hurting the Knicks in the opening moments here down low. And, of course, what Doherty does, as well as any center in the league, is pass the basketball. As soon as he felt 2 men on him, he got the ball away to the open man, and Williams followed nicely.
Oakley on the rebound. Uneasiness in the crowd already. They can't forget, as Charles Smith goes up with the easy jam, that the Cavaliers were a startlingly low 65% from the free throw line on Friday. Wilkins finds Williams. Oakley struggles, gets it to Rivers. Ewing is open. That's 2 easy slams in a row as the Knicks slide behind the Cavaliers defense.
And that's exactly what Pat Riley has been working on, getting the team to push the ball up quickly. And just by concentrating on that, they've gotten those 2 hoops that you refer to, Al.
Not a lot of motion in the Cavaliers offense. And a foul down low as Doherty passed it away.
The foul is on number 3, John Starks.
John Starks is called for the foul, his first.
That's his first, team second.
8-6 Cavaliers. Knicks winning the season series last year and finally breaking through in a building that has been so difficult for so long to win in. Price drives, drawing Rivers and Ewing in pursuit. Knicks recover well. 10 on the 24-second clock. And a legal defense, a call which plagued the Knicks on Friday in Boston.
Yes, there were 4 called against the Knicks, all involved with the area in front, right in front of the basket, where the men were lacking in the area, in the zone around the basket. Big men were trying to plug the middle up and offer help to their teammates.
Price finally draws the foul and will go to the line. The NBA's top free throw shooter of a season ago and a first-team NBA All-Star goes to the line on the foul of Charles Smith.
Mark has also elevated his foul shooting into the #1 status of all-time NBA foul shooting, over 90% throughout his career. And as you mentioned, now last year and the year before, he led the league in this department. He looks very quick tonight, though. He had injury problems plaguing him last year, and that directly affected the season that the Cavaliers had.
A rare miss by Price. Still getting over a little bit, about with a stomach virus that plagued him much more 2 nights ago. Foul call against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It'll be on Chris Mills, the rookie out of Arizona.
That's his first, team second.
His first, second on the Cavaliers. Fresh 24-second clock for the Knicks. Rivers for Ewing. Bangs off of Hot Rod Williams. Oakley tried hard to get the rebound, and it will be a call against the Cavaliers.
point you just made, trying hard, is what resulted in that foul going in the direction of Charles Oakley. You see Charles working his way in, extending to get that ball. Charles was fouled by Terry Mills in that effort.
That was the second foul on Chris Mills. Starks trying to use the Ewing screen. In trouble. Cue pass to Ewing. About as authoritative as a dunk can get.
Well, that opening occurred for Patrick on getting that pass, as you'll see from Starks. We get the feel of what went on around that basket, and that wasn't guards hanging around the basket. That was Brad Doherty first, then John Williams, who presented themselves as the obstacle, which Ewing totally ignored.
Ewing is off, but the offensive rebound by Charles Smith. Oakley. Charles Oakley hits from 7 or 18. 17 or 18, rather. Now the Knicks have the lead at 10-9. Just over 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter at the Coliseum in Richfield, and the second illegal defense call against the Knicks.
Nice to see Charles Oakley hit the first shot. He has a lot of friends here in hometown Cleveland. In fact, when asked the other day, rather earlier in the day, by our producer Howie Singer how many fans he was going to have to supply with tickets, the toll got pretty high, Al, didn't it? Got expensive.
30 tickets, John. It's expensive to have friends and play in the NBA.
Nice to see Charles so generous.
2 fouls against Chris Mills brings Danny Ferry into the lineup. And the technical foul as a result of the second illegal defense ties the game at 10.
Foul is on Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing is called for the foul.
That's his first team.
First against Patrick. Knicks had taken the lead with an 8-1 run. As the Cavaliers give it to Doherty, out high. Shot is off, and there's Oakley on the rebound. Knicks were out-rebounded in Boston Friday, and badly out-rebounded on the offensive boards. We'll be looking to see how they work on that one tonight. Ewing with the rebound. Speaking of that, Starks for 3. And that'll be a loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Al, I don't think so much focus, though, was put on that offensive rebounding stat by Pat Riley, you know, after that game, because the Knicks shot the ball so well against Boston. There weren't that many offensive rebounding opportunities.
But it was the second chances that allowed the Celtics to turn the game in the fourth quarter.
Yes, it was. They weren't boxing. The Knicks were not boxing out adequately.
So Brad Doherty goes to the line. And a heap of pressure suddenly on him in the absence of Larry Nance inside. Now both to keep the defense of Cleveland legitimate and as intimidating as it is, with both he and Nance in the lineup at the same time.
Well, you know, the Cavs are going to be forced now. This man that we're looking at, Larry Nance, is approaching his 35th birthday. And the man who has been the top shot blocking forward as a starter in NBA history is going to be missed at some time in the near future. Now at the injury, you know the Cavs are going to have to start thinking of life without Larry Nance.
Herb Williams giving Patrick Ewing a break as Doherty hits the free throws. It's 12-10 in favor of Cleveland. Knicks break the pressure. Oakley sees Herb Williams. And now Doc Rivers.
Oakley had great position, but Herb Williams didn't look in at him.
Rivers draws 2. Smith is open. Shades of a season ago.
Smith.
That's what Charles loved, those side 15, 17-foot jump shots. Very good at it.
Cavs working around the perimeter. Wilkins tries to draw Charles Smith. Now Ferry.
Very impressive move by Danny Ferry. He had the size advantage over John Starks, and he used his body beautifully.
Once again, the Knicks break the pressure, but feel it virtually everywhere they go. The offensive end. Oakley sliding behind the defense, but travels. We have a timeout on the floor with 6:41 to go in quarter number 1. It is 14-12 Cleveland. New York media. Well, you think New York is tough? How's this? for openers, the Cavaliers play like a YMCA team, rather, throwing the ball all over the Coliseum and looking like a group of Chris Dudleys at the free throw line. That was after their 3-point loss to Milwaukee here on Friday. Wow. A tad of an overreaction, John.
That's a new style here in Cleveland.
Knicks looking up the floor. Charles Smith draws two and bangs it in. That shows patience and confidence, and Charles Smith has 6.
An accuracy by Charles Oakley, who delivered that long pass.
Rice dribbling through traffic. A rainbow that's off. And we've got a loose ball foul underneath. Good shooting by both teams in the first 6 minutes or so of this game. Third foul on Smith, and that's something that has been a problem for Charles Smith.
Well, Charles Oakley on that last hoop, without hesitation, turned around. Boy, he sensed that Charles Smith was where he was. Tremendous feel for one player for the other.
And you know, it's interesting. Pat Riley was standing right in front of us with Hot Rod Williams at the line. And when that pass connected, he leaped in the air with excitement. And then Smith put it in. But he has to be pulled now as Pat Riley goes to his bench and inserts Anthony Mason. Mason sensational in the opener with 18 points, 8 of 10 from the floor, 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Oakley lays it off but lost the handle, and Herb Williams can't control.
Well, you know, Al, on that play, Charles Oakley tried to look away. He had a decision. He had an open man left and right. He kind of looked left and delivered it right, but it was a little off target. Very hard for a man of his size to execute such a move.
Price for Ferry, and now Doherty. Brad Doherty with a running hook. Cavaliers 5-4, 18-14. Knicks looking for someone other than a member of their front court to score. Nothing from Starks or Rivers yet. Mason in trouble. And a timeout is called as he is tied up on the double team. It is a 20-second timeout for the Knicks. Well, the defense of the Cavaliers certainly showing itself here in this first quarter.
Well, that's the Mike Fratello tradition. When he was with the Atlanta Hawks, his team led the NBA in defense in the latter stages of his 7 years. He and his very experienced coaching staff certainly know defense. Ronnie Rothstein, lately of the Detroit Pistons, who had great success there in the defensive area, and Rich Adabano, also an experienced NBA coach, 15 years in the Dallas Mavericks organization, really know how to teach the game, and they're focusing on defense right now.
Richie Adabano, one-time head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, and Ron Rothstein, a lot of power on that bench. Knicks back home on Tuesday night. It'll be the home opener at the Garden. Sean Bradley and the Philadelphia 76ers come to the Garden. Our coverage begins with game night at 7 o'clock. Back underway with 6 on the 24-second clock for John Starks. Illegal defense against the Cavaliers.
They had a couple of mismatches as they switched around, and Charles Oakley was matched up down low with Gerald Wilkins. And in their shuffling, they got into that tendency to clog the middle. Became illegal. The Knicks off to a good start, 7 out of 11 from the field. The Cavs are also shooting well.
Starks driving the baseline, met by Ferry and Doherty. It'll be off of one of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Starks was taking on 2 much taller players.
John Starks going baseline, not really able to penetrate and get inside, but fortunately for him, the Knicks recover the ball.
This is the 4th different possession, really, this time up the floor for the Knicks. Illegal defense, ball off a Cavalier, now a kick, and another fresh cycle on the 24-second clock. Starks again draws the double team. Rivers with a good fake, leaving Mason open. Air ball by Mason.
Shaking up the local crowd here. He certainly does not do that very often.
Cavaliers with 8 on the 24-second clock. Oakley pushes Hot Rod Williams.
The foul is on Charles Oakley. That's his first.
First foul on Oakley.
Hot Rod Williams still going through a career where he hasn't gotten to what has been projected for him as far as output as a player. Cavaliers made a big decision a couple of years ago to keep him, so much so that they're paying him over $3 million a year.
It was that then startling, I think, $27 million offer sheet that the Miami Heat sent his way. Took up a lot of people because he wasn't starting then as he is now. He's a highly priced sixth man, Mason. Now the fans behind us are chanting, shoot, shoot to Anthony Mason. One air ball, and they forget to look at their stat sheet. Rivers fires it to Starks. Out of bounds. That will be Cleveland ball. Pat Riley complaining. It did look as though it was last touched by Danny Ferry.
Oakley complaining to the official that his arm was held as he went up to rebound.
Cavs by 5. Price pestered by Rivers, but is able to get around him. And the offensive collapse on Price then leaves, and defensive collapse rather leaves Ferry open.
Well, you've got to be careful when you double team. You can't leave a man like Ferry open. That's when he's at his best, shooting open shots. He's not a physical player, but he can certainly shoot the ball.
Gerald Wilkins called for the foul. They're quick on the whistle here in the first quarter.
You really have to discriminate as to who you double team in relation to when you leave your man to double team and help a teammate out. If your man is a deadly perimeter shooter, you've got to fake almost a double team to get back to the open man. You just can't leave that open man able to receive the ball and shoot the ball unobstructed.
Don Starks and the first point by a Knick guard in the game so far. Cavaliers had recaptured the lead with a 12-4 run. That was in response to an 8-1 run by the Knicks. Starks successful with both, and with just under 4 minutes to go, the Knicks are within 5. Price tangled up by Rivers. He goes down trying to make the steal, and it will be Cavaliers ball just out of his reach.
You notice Doc Rivers fighting over every pick that is set for Mark Price, and he's done a good job of staying with Price to harass him. It's very hard for him. Rivers is 4 inches taller than Mark Price. It's hard to get down low when a man as quick as Price is handling the ball.
Well, they've cleaned up the sweat off the floor, and Ferry lobs it for Doherty. That's a good-looking play, but Doherty blew the alley-oop.
Herb Williams had his back to the passer. He did not know that was coming.
Williams, Mason, Rivers. The ball movement is there, and so is the shot.
Very crisply done by the Knicks.
It's a 2-point game.
Another focus of their attack this year is crisp passing like we just saw.
Ferry. Good fake by Hot Rod Williams, and that's an offensive foul drawn by Charles Oakley. Another one of those things that Oakley does so consistently that you can forget at times.
Yes, Charles always up for the sacrifice type play, and this is where he excels. He has no problem dealing with contact in his day-to-day work in the NBA.
Hot Rod Williams sits. It's the first appearance in the game of that man. Tyrone Hill, acquired in a trade with the Golden State Warriors. He is a rebounding forward, to say the least. 16th best rebounder in the NBA a season ago. Rivers got trapped in the air, and the Cavs take advantage. Price goes long range.
And there's a guy who can shoot the 3 off the dribble. That's tough to do. He doesn't have to get set very much.
Don Starks rejected by Tyrone Hill. A timeout on the floor. 2:35 to go. Cavaliers by 5.
It's good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Well, John Starks thinks he can get by Gerald Wilkins. Does a pretty good job. Wilkins stayed with him, but Tyrone Hill, who just came into the game, sent that one away. Tyrone Hill now in his 4th year in the NBA. Cost the Cleveland Cavaliers their #1 draft pick next year, and looks like a good move.
Larry Nance will be out for the foreseeable future. He'll have knee surgery to repair a roughness on the underside of his right kneecap with arthroscopic surgery, and no timetable for his return just yet. Foul call against the Cleveland Cavaliers and their point guard Mark Price. And now John Battle enters the game, the ex-Rutgers star. He replaces Gerald Wilkins. Battle 22 points on Friday. A little frightening, though, I guess, when he takes over the point guard position, at least to some of the people who follow this team. They need Terrell Brandon back rather desperately.
Well, the numbers that everyone pointed to was when Mark Price was out of the game in their opener against Milwaukee. Other people at the point guard, whether it would have been John Battle or Gerald Wilkins, they were outscored 14-2, and that scared all the Cavs fans. So that's what everyone's thinking about, that Mark Price has to be on the floor a lot. The plan tonight, Ronnie Rothstein was telling me before the game, was that they wanted to give Price the same amount of minutes, but give him minutes in shorter bursts with also shorter rests, so he doesn't get worn down by extended periods on the floor.
Starks on the free throw line. It's a 3-point game, and John Battle will run the show. He said he just never got along from day 1 with Lenny Wilkins, but in his days with Atlanta, he is very familiar with Mike Fratello. There's a taste, the early turnover with him at the point guard. Greg Anthony on the miss. Battle up the floor with Price. Price with a sizzle and the foul. Oh, that was beautiful.
The foul is number 32 for Williams. Pass is first. Mark will shoot 1.
Well, you knew Mark Price wanted to go around Williams, and he found a way to do it. Herb was with him, and then Price went into that extra kind of move that he has, and says hi to the fans who appreciated that.
The second missed free throw by Mark Price in the game. All the talk about John Battle, he won't be required to run this Cavaliers offense with Price on the floor as he is right now.
In the first quarter.
Starks. Whistle against Cleveland.
The foul is number 32.
Checking into the game for the Cleveland Cavaliers is Gerald Madkins. Last year's CBA Player of the Year, signed to a 2-year contract, and they give Madkins the chance to run this team.
Out of desperation right now until Brandon gets back. It was a key decision by Mike Fratello to keep Terrell Brandon, who we're looking at. And now he is wanted more than ever after that opening game lack of point guard backup. He is a talented player.
Charles Oakley hits the first free throw. Oakley, by the way, doing his job in the rebounding department with 6. Hubert Davis enters the game, and both benches are very active at this point in the game. 1:34 to go in the first quarter, with the Knicks down by 3. Knicks will put some pressure on the Cavaliers now. In the absence of Mark Price, they think the time is right, and it works.
Boy, everybody was on the same page for the Knicks on that play, and that soft pass, Greg Anthony was right there. Take it out of the air.
Now Anthony draws the double team and the foul.
The foul is on Gerald Madkins.
Madkins called on the foul, and Greg Anthony will go to the line.
Greg had 26 minutes of play the other night in Boston. Only took 2 shots, made 1. Had 3 assists in the game.
Anthony still, it seems, looks to be loosening up. hits them both, and it's a 1-point game with 1:20 to go, and the Knicks are going to keep with this strategy. This time the Cavs break through. Ferry.
A man's got to have a hand in his face. He put a show on last year against the Knicks with 3-point shooting.
Herb Williams on Doherty. Ferry and Hill battle for the rebound, and it will belong to the Knicks. Herb Williams getting some minutes here. Patrick Ewing in some foul trouble. Charles Smith too. Mason for Hubert Davis. Gerald Matkins pushes Anthony almost back to the midcourt line. Wild shot by Greg Anthony. Rebound Ferry, and that'll be a loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Greg Anthony complaining to Jack Madden.
The foul is on Anthony Mason. That's his first penalty situation.
Greg, however, didn't really earn the foul by taking the ball closer to the basket to draw the contact. It was kind of a running one-handed off-balance shot.
Well, Pat Riley told his players, you know, we no longer use the word rotation, but he told virtually everyone that they should be ready for their chance. And Tony Campbell has taken off the warm-ups, and he's going to check into this game. Ferry hits the first, and here is Tony Campbell.
Number 9, Tony Campbell.
For Charles Oakley. Oakley leaving with 6 rebounds and 4 points. 40.8 seconds to go, and Danny Ferry has had a pretty successful opening quarter. Hits the free throws. It's a 5-point lead again for Cleveland.
It's going with a small front line now of forwards with Mason and Tony Campbell in closing seconds here.
Anthony tied up, and he can't get rid of it. But a foul against Cleveland. Or was it a timeout? There was a timeout called by Greg Anthony in the midst of chaos with 28 seconds to go. Well, both teams, John, I think are getting the answers they want to see from their defensive pressure. At least it's that way in the first quarter.
Well, what's been working well for Cleveland now is that their trapping has come as a surprise to the Knicks and gotten them off balance. And all of a sudden, the guard, whoever that may be, in that case, last case, Greg Anthony, just had no vision. It was taken all away by the pressure. So the Cavs did a very good job at forcing the Knicks to consume a timeout.
Cleveland Cavaliers getting only 91 points on opening night. That was some of the reason why you saw some of the quotes that you did in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. And of course, some of that comes from the frustration that Mike Fratello was tinkering with an offense that was pretty darn successful. Yeah, they were first in field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, and in assists. And yet the Cavalier franchise felt they still got swept by the Chicago Bulls in the second round of the playoffs.
The Cavs the other night at the foul line were 20 out of 31 against Milwaukee. Tonight, much improved, 9 out of 13 from the line.
Right now, the Cavaliers are out shooting the Knicks by a wide margin, 59 to 42%. But last season, that is not how it went, as the Knicks in 4 games won 3, ended their 11-game losing streak here in Richfield, and outshot the Cleveland Cavaliers with their league-leading defense, 45 to 41%.
You know, the Knicks want to improve on their opening game team defense, as the Celtics shot over 50% the other night in Boston to open things up. When you contrast that to last year, Al, the Knicks only allowed their opponents to shoot 50% or more 9 times in the whole season.
Anthony Mason, pestered by Tyrone Hill. He finally gets it in. Hubert Davis. Everybody who gets the basketball gets a double team. Davis, 1 second on the 24-second clock, and the Knicks do not get it away. Campbell hits it, but it was after the 24-second buzzer.
Well, the fans here are responding, as the Knicks fans do in New York, to an excellent defensive effort by the home team.
Knicks pressured to 5 turnovers. Cavaliers have committed 3. Slow compared to the 23 they committed on Friday night. Brief conversation at the scorer's table with a couple of the officials is over. And Jack Madden set to hand the basketball to Danny Ferry, and it's obvious the Knicks are going to pressure Cleveland here, as they have with Mark Price on the bench. 16.8 to go. That's Fratello you hear counting down the seconds for John Battle. Battle can't hit, and that will end quarter number 1 with the score. The Cleveland Cavaliers 30 and Pat Riley's Knicks 25.
Well, Knick fans helped the Knicks get off on the right foot this season. Join the Knicks City Dancers and some surprise guests at a pair of pep rallies to kick off the 93-94 season. The pep rallies will take place before the home opener on November 9th, Tuesday night at Charlie O's and Toots Shor's on 33rd Street from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Al Trowigan for Marv Albert along with John Andres. We're watching the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Opening moments of quarter number 2. Tony Campbell. Tony Campbell from the baseline. His first points. He hit his other shot also. Unfortunately, it was just after the 24-second buzzer. So he comes off the bench ready.
Patrick Ewing on the scene now, matched with Tyrone Hill a moment ago. Hill, as you see, rebounding the ball. Called for pushing on that play. But he's a very aggressive guy. He doesn't have the width and the arm power of an Oakley, but he certainly makes up for it with his quickness. Well, Pat Riley's not happy about those numbers. 30-plus points allowed by the Knicks in 3 of the 5 quarters played so far. Friday night and tonight now.
Tony Campbell behind his back for Anthony Mason. Fakes Ferry, gets inside. Hot Rod Williams grabs the rebound. Gerald Matkins having some problems handling the basketball. He's running this offense right now. Battle.
He has that wonderful ability to go up in the air and extend his body away from the basket and the defense. It makes it very difficult to guard against.
He seems to have good hang time also, doesn't he?
He has great legs.
This will be a foul against the Cavaliers and Danny Ferry.
Foul is on Danny Ferry. That'll be his first.
First foul on Ferry. Knicks will inbound. It is Tony Campbell with Anthony Mason, Hubert Davis, Greg Anthony, Patrick Ewing. Only one starter on the floor for the Knicks. Tony Campbell coming off the bench. He wants to shoot. Hubert Davis with a great sky to almost tap it in. Danny Ferry with the fake and the hoop.
See, the Cavs are doing what the Knicks are trying to do and have been doing well, and that is pushing the ball up court quickly and getting mismatches like they just did.
10 points for Danny Ferry. Ewing over Hot Rod Williams.
Ewing.
5-point difference once again here at the Richfield Coliseum. John Battle, it's a Tyrone Hill rebound.
Oh, I see how quick he is to loose ball shooting off the boards.
Davis almost with the steal. Patrick Ewing with the Matkins miss. Hubert Davis crossover away from Battle. Davis for 2. Tyrone Hill is doing a job on the boards. Rebounds for Tyrone Hill. Foul as Hot Rod Williams charges to the basket.
Well, he saw Patrick Ewing moving out toward him, and Williams responded by turning that movement of Ewing against Ewing. Patrick was not set
Well, John, we made the point of the 5 30-point quarters for the Knicks defense so far. I think if you're looking at this game, you're thinking that the Cavaliers are getting much too much in terms of openness and opportunity on offense for Pat Riley's desires.
Yes, what they're doing, which is difficult for any defense to deal with, is that they're moving the ball quickly. They're not holding it.
Danny Ferry gets a big cheer from the crowd. Before the game, Mike Fratello said in Larry Nance's absence, we're going to have some guys step up. And, well, Danny Ferry has answered the call as he sits right next to Larry Nance and gets a little pat on the head from Mike Fratello.
And he was replaced by the rookie Chris Mills, now in his second NBA game.
Mills started and left with early foul trouble. And returns to guard Tony Campbell. There's a whistle against Cleveland.
The foul is on Hot Rod
Williams is called for the foul.
That's his third.
That's the third on Hot Rod, and the foul numbers are building up on both sides. And Mike Fratello does not hesitate to go to his bench and send in number 54, Jay Gittinger.
Replacing Hot Rod.
We're going to see some surprising players get some surprising minutes. Already Tony Campbell for the Knicks and Jake Gittinger for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hubert Davis with a quick release.
Davis off the pick, came right around and shot that ball quickly. Had a terrific game in Boston the other night. 10 points, 5 assists in only 13 minutes.
Big move inside by Gerald Matkins.
Knicks not very active defensively, letting Matkins just dribble right through them.
Mason for Davis. Greg Anthony. He rocks it to jumper. 8 to go in the half. 5-point lead for Cleveland. Rookie Chris Mills for Gittinger, guarded by Ewing. Gittinger, very hesitant, coughing it up. Campbell guarded by the rookie Mills. Tony Campbell so far, Johnny, when he looks a little bit like the Tony Campbell when he was with the T-Wolves. You know, the offense very much around him. When he gets the ball, he's thinking shots.
Hill again causing problems for the Knicks with his active play around the basket.
Hubert Davis.
Oh, what instincts by Davis.
He lost that ball once, maybe twice on the drive, but had the presence and the ability to hold on to it and drop it in for 2. It is a 3-point lead for the Cleveland Cavaliers. 7:15 to go. Friday night had 10 points on 4 of 5 shooting in 13 minutes, and he's picking up tonight right where he left off in Boston Garden.
Yes, Hubert, you can see losing control of the basketball and then having the ability with the left hand around the basket to finish the play. Very rare play that turns out as well as it did for Hubert, who was so comfortable with the basketball in his hands.
Mark Price back out there guarded by Greg Anthony. Doherty being pestered by Anthony Mason, and a foul before the drive. It's on Greg Anthony.
The foul is on Greg Anthony.
Knicks on the floor, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, Tony Campbell, Greg Anthony, and Hubert Davis. Tyrone Hill with Doherty and Chris Mills up front. John Battle and Mark Price, the guards for Mike Fratello's Cleveland Cavaliers. Big follow attempt by Doherty. It goes off, and it will be Cavalier ball. He missed 2 dunks on Friday night, and he just missed another one.
On the pick and roll play, all the defense of the Knicks went out focusing on Price. And from the right-hand side, Brad Doherty came in and almost embarrassed that Knick defensive effort. I'm sure from Pat Riley's viewpoint, he did embarrass them by getting that shot so easily.
John Battle looks inside. Nobody there, wearing white.
One of those, I hope the guy's reacting like I'm thinking passes.
Oh, great look from Ewing. Anthony to Mason. Mason Mason out for Ewing, and he stepped on the end line. Oh, the Knicks turned something that looked so slick into Cleveland ball.
Well, after the 22 turnovers that the Cavaliers had against Milwaukee the other night, you know the Knicks were thinking of this kind of success, and it's happening to them instead of them creating it.
They isolate Doherty, and he delivers.
Well, he had Anthony Mason on him, and for Doherty, a 7-footer, no problem to get a good look at the basket.
It's been Doherty, it's been Ferry. They both have 10. And it's a 40-35, 5-point lead for Cleveland. Ewing, quick look, Anthony, Davis. Price the rebound, and Cleveland's running. Seven-point lead, Price for John Battle.
What was nice about that play was that Battle stayed deep in the corner until he got near the basket, till the foul line extended. Then he headed into the hoop.
Patrick Ewing from the baseline. As you can see, the Cavaliers are making the most out of running. Starks and Oakley getting set to return. 5.5 to go in the first half. Doherty with the offensive rebound. Doherty with 12 points.
Well, the problem began now with Price breezing by Greg Anthony. When Price can penetrate like that, it creates major problems because they get second and third efforts at the basket then.
Mason. Now Anthony. Cavaliers are doing a great job at both ends of the floor in the rebounding department.
Greg Anthony doing what good defenders try to do, and that is fight over the pick set by Tyrone Hill. But Hill pushed off Anthony as the contact was made instead of letting Anthony just clobber into him. The official saw a little forward movement by Hill to Greg Anthony. I don't think the angle that we showed. So I saw the angle of him leaning out toward Greg Anthony.
Tyrone Hill committing his third personal foul, so he is pulled from the game, and that means the return of Danny Ferry. Big changes for the Knicks as Doc Rivers returns with John Starks and Charles Oakley. On the 24-second clock.
Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing now has 12 points. Doc Rivers comes up with the loose ball. Starks. Drew many. Couldn't finish it. And there's a loose ball foul against Charles Oakley.
As impressive a move as that was by Starks, he still did not get the hand close enough to the backboard or the rim on the release.
Well, John, you know, through the preseason, John has had so many great moves. It's the finishing that's not been there.
Well, it just became a flip at the end, and I would assume if John was to do that again, he's better off flipping it harder so the backboard becomes a friend and knocks the ball in that way off the backboard instead of trying to lay it off the rim if you're not really on the rim.
Chris Mills.
Chris Mills called for the offensive foul. Now he has 3. And Mike Fratello goes to his bench again. Bobby Phil's entering the game.
For the Cavs, number 14, Bobby Phills.
Chris Mills twice has had to leave the game because of foul trouble. Patrick Ewing trying to work on Danny Ferry. That's a beautiful pass, but 3 seconds is the call. I'm not sure if it was on Oakley or Ewing, John.
The Cavaliers are, no question, outplaying the Knicks at the defensive end. They're making it very difficult for the Knicks to get good shots. The answer is quicker ball handling by the Knicks to make the defense of the Cavs work harder. They can't settle for 1 or 2 passes and end the shot attempt because it's too easy for the defense to double and triple successfully.
Brad Doherty is killing the Knicks. He has 14 points A strong second quarter, and the Cavaliers lead it by 7. Ewing, who's had a sharp eye tonight in terms of passing the basketball, finds Oakley, and they draw the foul.
Great timing between those two. Oakley arrived at the position to receive from Ewing at just the right moment. That sequence was quickly done. Take another look at it now, and Oakley had the hands up, letting Ewing know where he was.
With Oakley at the line, Mike Fratello is doing a tremendous PR job on the officials.
Mike, always a very active coach.
Charles Oakley gets it to fall. It's 46-41, just over 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Wilkins draws a double team. Doherty. Berry kicks it for Price. Second three-pointer of the game for Mark Price as the Cavaliers work the Knicks double team to perfection.
Taps back quickly very well also.
It'll be Cavalier ball as they create the turnover. A little bit sloppy for the Knicks at both ends of the floor. Timeout with 2:48 to go.
Hitting the passing sequence, and Mark Price wide open for the three-point shot.
Yeah, safe now.
That's almost like a layup for him. As fans who saw the NBA All-Star game last year might recall, Mark Price put on quite a show with three-point shooting.
Cavaliers enjoying their biggest lead, 8. They've led by 7 several times. Berry breaking free. Danny Berry. He has 12 points. And the Cavaliers have 3 in double digits off that Mark Price 3. Doherty 14, Price 10, Berry 12. Charles Oakley. Ewing finally answers for the Knicks.
Well, that's a three men in the Knicks front line working well together. Kept that ball alive off Anthony Mason's miss, and Ewing was there to finish things.
And during that sequence, Pat Riley literally ran to the end of the bench and told Anthony Bonner to check into this game. So we're about to see Anthony Bonner's regular season debut for the Knicks. Doherty for Gerald Wilkins. All net.
Excuse me, Al. So much of this Cavaliers shooting is not being met with tough defense. They're getting shots without a hand in their face, simply by good ball movement. And when the Knicks double team, they're not getting enough of a rotation defensively so that the nearest man will come over to bother the shooter.
Anthony Bonner enters the game for the Knicks after such an impressive preseason. Remember so well that first game at Madison Square Garden in the preseason where he was the story in all the newspapers the next day. Well, it'll be a battle for points and minutes for Bonner, but he's getting a chance tonight.
Knicks are not shooting the ball that well, and perhaps Pat Riley is thinking now, let me get one of the game's best offensive rebounders in the game. In fact, he and Anthony Mason last year were 1-2 in the NBA in offensive rebounding.
Don Starks hits the free throws. Starks, by the way, struggling from the floor, 0 for 5. It is an 8-point Cavalier lead. 1:45 to go. Price draws it at 1.3 Knicks. Gerald Wilkins coming back to hurt his former team on consecutive trips up the floor. Ewing draws the foul as he hits the deck.
Now the offensive rebounding totals that I referred to of Mason and Bonner are players off the bench as far as 1-2 in the NBA. Mason being 1 and Bonner 2 last season.
Patrick Ewing to the line with 14 points. He is 7 of 8 from the floor to lead the Knicks. No one else has more than 6. So Rolando Blackman, as it turns out, is the only Knick not to see action on this very deep roster so far.
Ewing continuing his fine shooting from the foul line the other night in Boston. 12 out of 12. He's taking his time and doing a terrific job in that area.
Wilkins has the last 2 hoops, and now he has a chance for some free throws, drawing the John Starks foul.
That's his second first in the last 2 minutes.
Check that. That's the first in the last 2 minutes. It will be inbound Cleveland with 1:06 to go. Danny Ferry, 5 of 7 from the floor, 12 points, gets it to Mark Price. Here's Ferry again. Oh, he's on, as Mark would say, fire.
Well, again, a wide open Danny Ferry. The Knicks are not responding to him as a threat at all.
Anthony Bonner, followed by Ewing, rebounded by Ferry. Price pushes up the tempo, goes for 3. It's a 14-point lead for the Cavaliers. Doc Rivers answers with a 3-pointer for the Knicks. That was an important basket in the closing seconds of this first half. Wilkins spins for Starks. Oakley with 10 seconds, and the Knicks bench screams out one last shot. Oakley can't make it happen at the buzzer, however. There is a foul at the buzzer.
Foul is on Bobby
Charles
Fields.
Oakley and Patrick Ewing made it happen.
That's his first.
And Oakley will have a chance with a couple of free throws with 0 time left on the first half clock.
Meanwhile, the Cavaliers have rung up 61 points at the end of the first half, on their way to 120, which is a lot more than the Knicks have planned on, a lot more than the Knicks have been presenting in recent times.
Mike Fratello angrily kicking something full of rosin over by the Cavaliers bench. It will be, John, the 6th quarter in 2 games that the Knicks have allowed 30 points or more. Well, Mike Fratello's angry, but he can't be that disappointed. The Cavaliers lead the Knicks by 10 after 1 half in Game 2 of the NBA season for both teams. When we come back, Bob Page will give you the latest from the MSG Sports Desk. We'll have highlights and more. Stand up.
Yes, Christopher makes them do whatever he wants them to do, Al.
If only life were like that. Well, it's been a struggle for the Knicks so far on this one, 61-51. We'll be back with highlights and more, but first, Bob Page has this from the MSG Sports Desk.
Thank you, Al. While the Knicks are looking for their 2nd straight win of the season tonight, the Nets likely will pick up their 2nd straight loss of the young campaign. They tip off at San Antonio in just about 15 minutes from now. And Chris Morris is not expected to play. He suffered an injury in a scrimmage at San Antonio yesterday. At the Meadowlands late this afternoon, the Jets continued their recent dominance of the Miami Dolphins, beating the Dolphins today 27-10 and denying Don Shula his all-time NFL record 325th victory. Shula and the Dolphins now fall into 2nd place in the AFC East at 6-2. Against Buffalo, won at New England in overtime. Boomer brilliant today, 23 of 32, 256, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That 17-yarder to Johnny Mitchell in the opening quarter put New York ahead for good. Bruce Coslett and the Jets up 17-3 at halftime, 20-3 here in the 3rd quarter when the Jets blow a coverage. And Scott Mitchell finds Irving Fryer open for a 65-yard TD pass. So it was still anybody's game going into the final stanza. But 6 minutes in, Esiason hits Chris Burkett for a 12-yard score to put it away. Jets now 4-4, and they have obviously saved their season. Meanwhile, the Giants with a pathetic performance at Dallas today. I mean, nobody expected them to beat the Cowboys, but they didn't even bother to show up in a 31-9 loss. So Troy Aikman and the Cowboys moved past the Gents to the sole possession of first in the NFC East. Aikman's 28-yard TD pass to a wide-open Alvin Harper late in the 1st quarter gave Dallas a 10-0 lead. They never looked back. Giants' offensive line didn't give Phil Simms any protection all day, and even this TD pass to Mark Jackson was called back when Bob Kratz was detected holding. Giants had to settle for a field goal. And only 20 seconds after that, Aikman to Alvin Harper alone again. 50 yards, route was on, 17-6 at halftime. Now, Aikman did leave the game with a hamstring injury incurred on this third quarter play, but with former Princeton star Jason Garrett at quarterback, Cowboys still tacked on 2 Emmitt Smith TD runs in the fourth quarter to complete Dan Reeves' humiliation in his trip back home to Dallas. He had 117 yards rushing on 24 attempts, did Smith. Gents fall to 5-3. Harry Carson joins me live in studio tonight at 11 o'clock. Post-game interviews from the Giants and Jets at that time as well. I'll be back right after this.
It stretches from Boston to Los Angeles, from Miami.
By parachuting into the ring while it was in progress in Las Vegas, has now been released on $200 bond. He was not injured and still has given absolutely no statement on why he would do such a thing. Riddick Bowe, who lost his championship to Evander Holyfield, commented today.
I was rather shocked. I was very surprised. And the whole incident, my wife was actually sitting right behind me. So I can look at her and see, how she was reacting and exactly what was, taking place. I mean, I'm not one to make excuses, but I saw that she was having a bit of a trouble.
Nets highlights, Harry Carson in studio, NFL interviews and highlights from today, much more in our 30-minute show tonight at 11 o'clock. We'll return to Cleveland after again.
The leading scorer summary through 2 quarters of play here. Knicks and Cavaliers. See the Cavaliers leading the way with some hot shooting over 60%. They are being paced by triple-digit scoring from Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, and Danny Ferry, who combined are shooting 16 for 24. Gerald Wilkins with 7. He's been active. Hot Rod Williams joins him with 7 as well. For the Knicks, it's Patrick Ewing and little else. Ewing, when they get him the ball, is 7 of 9 for 18 points. After that, single digits, Charles Oakley, John Starks, Doc Rivers, and Charles Smith. John, it's just not working, it seems, for the Knicks, both offensively and defensively.
Now, one of the things that happened in the first half was that Charles Smith got 3 fouls early out of the game, only played 6 minutes. Patrick Ewing also got a couple of fouls early. I think that tones down the big men and their aggressiveness. They're not after challenging people. They're not going for shot blocks. And I really think that took a lot out of the Knicks team. Smith the other night in Boston also had 5 fouls. So that's a problem that has carried over here from last year.
Now, we mentioned Danny Ferry and Brad Daugherty. They're part of our highlight summary here at halftime, brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series.
Cavaliers moved the ball exceptionally well in the first half. Danny Ferry shot the ball well, as we mentioned. Here on a drive, he had the shorter John Starks on him and took him right to the hoop. Gerald Wilkins bounced back with a behind-the-back pass at one point. Danny Ferry showed the long-range shooting that he's so capable of. Brad Daugherty with a great move now coming up against Patrick Ewing. He'll bang into Patrick and use that contact to spring himself free. And what a sensational move by Brad Daugherty. Under pressure, the Cavs passing the ball well. Daugherty, Ferry, and a wide open Mark Price. That's an easy shot for Mark Price.
Price had 2 3-pointers. Pat Riley searching for answers in the meantime. 11 of 12 Knicks have already played. Back in a moment on MSG.
Catch the best talk in town as Mike Francesa and Jennifer Smith team up on Live from the Play-by-Play after most Knicks and Rangers home games here on MSG Network.
NBA's top defense a season ago allows 61 points for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first half.
And 61% shooting by the Cavs. Very difficult to beat a team when they shoot that well. The Knicks have to lift it up at both ends of the court. Cavs are also playing excellent defense. Charles Oakley, as usual, doing a big job on the boards for the Knicks. Daugherty for the Cavs. The Knicks are not showing aggressiveness underneath the basket. No shot blocks to the Cavs 4. And the Cavs are running. They're controlling this basketball game, essentially. They're playing solid ball at both ends of the court. Big change from their opening game the other night. And a Toyota matchup featuring the big men for both teams. Take a look at last year where Patrick Ewing was dominant from the field. 25 a game. Also out-rebounded Brad Daugherty on the average. Outshot him as well. Doherty doing a good job tonight, has rebounded well from those statistics. Ewing also having a solid game by himself, 16 points, shooting the ball well, 9 rebounds. But as we know, Al, it's a team game. Ewing needs some help.
Remember, the Cavaliers are doing it without Larry Nance, who's usually the big front line mate of Brad Doherty. He'll be out with a surgery on his right knee on Tuesday for an indefinite period of time, and without their backup point guard, Terrell Brandon, out perhaps another 3 weeks with mononucleosis. Charles Smith, almost an air ball saved by Oakley for Rivers. Underway in the third quarter. Good look by Ewing. Smith was off balance, but Oakley's there.
Needless to say, Charles Smith is needed very much so by the Knicks. Oakley is not going to get you a lot of points, but he's doing his thing. Really points to the other forward contributing, and that's Charles now.
Charles Oakley leading all rebounders with 10. Doherty stepped by Ewing, but a foul called by Jack Madden.
Foul is on Patrick Ewing.
Ewing called for the foul. That will be his third.
It appears that the foul came from behind, not Ewing, that he was shoved more by Charles Smith, but Ewing got the foul call.
Patrick pleading his case with Jack Madden. Brad Doherty hits the free throw. Cavaliers 11 of 15 in the first half, 73% from the line. They were 65% from the line on Friday night. The miss is grabbed by Ewing. Oakley for Ewing. Lost the ball as he went up.
The problem is that Oakley, as the dribbler, gave the pass to Ewing out high.
Gerald Wilkins.
Any NBA team is going to love to force the Knicks into Oakley becoming the distributor of the basketball. On the move. Stationary, he's fine.
Ewing. Well, John, he's running all over the floor at both ends. Patrick Ewing is trying to liven up the Knicks.
Good look from Rivers on that play.
It's a 9-point Cavaliers lead. Starks on Wilkins, Rivers on Price, Smith on Mills. Pressure almost winds up with a Cavalier turnover, but Doherty gets it to drop.
Shame of that for the Knicks as Ewing made a terrific play in intercepting the ball. The Knicks couldn't control it.
Oakley again. Charles Oakley on the boards and on the scoreboard. Oakley with 11. Only the second Knick in double figures. It is out of bounds. It'll be Knick ball.
Knicks shot their fouls well in the first half. Made 15 of 17 from the line.
Charles Oakley was going to inbound the ball, but Pat Riley said, you get up the floor and have Charles Smith give it to Doc Rivers, and that's what has happened. Starks and Ewing seem to have some confusion about who was supposed to go where there. It is Ewing with the fadeaway.
Patrick Ewing.
Ewing now with 20 points to lead the Knicks.
Knicks need a big effort from Starks, who was 0 for 5 from the field in the first half.
Chris Mills not active very much in the Cavalier offense. Doherty, 3 Knicks underneath. Ewing spins after hitting Brad Doherty, and that's a great shot from Patrick Ewing. Doherty can't believe it, but the Knicks put a 14-5 run together. It is a 5-point game as the Knicks have owned the opening minutes of quarter number 3.
It's time for the...
What an interesting play here by the 5 Knick players on the floor. There's 1-2 passes. Another pass from Charles Oakley over to the corner to Doc Rivers. Patrick Ewing with a suggestion of that Anthony Mason move the other night in Boston with a beauty. 5 Knicks players touching that basketball leading to the hoop.
Knicks on a 14-5 14-5 run, 5 of 8 from the floor in this third quarter. They have allowed the Cavaliers, with their rebounding and defense, only 3 shots in the quarter. There's a great look by Price for Chris Mills, and he gets the favorable roll.
He simply beat Charles Smith to position. Charles did not want to pick up another foul.
John Starks, a quiet night. Here's Charles Smith.
Charles Smith.
Smith now with 8 points for the Knicks. He was hampered in the first half because of foul trouble.
18 seconds to shoot.
Charles Smith playing with 3 personal fouls. Price uses the Doherty screen. Hot Rod Williams for Chris Mills. Starks exploding down low. Oakley, Smith, Rivers for 3. Don't the Knicks know we already did the MCS Cannon teamwork moment, John? They almost did it again. Doherty showed the ball right, then spun left.
Cavs are getting no offensive rebounding now.
Ewing leads the sprint up the floor and is out of bounds as he throws it off the body of Gerald Wilkins. But he was sprinting to lead the break.
See, I think Pat Riley's very unhappy about that pass from Starks to Ewing, because Ewing was not in a position to do anything with the ball when he got it. It's a judgment John Starks should be able to make more clearly than he did.
10 on the 24 as Doherty is stopped by Ewing and stolen away by Starks. Fifth effort rolls off. It's Price. Wilkins for 3. Shot's not falling for Cleveland. Ewing is able to save it. Ewing working for it.
Patrick Ewing.
It is a 3-point ball game as the Knicks come back from 14 down late in the second quarter.
Knicks have come out really ignited here in the third quarter. Patrick Ewing is carrying his team as well.
Chris Mills around Smith.
Well, the shorter 6'6" Mills uses what you would think would be his advantage, and that is speed to get around the taller Charles Smith.
It's really the first offensive impact for the first-round choice out of Arizona, Chris Mills.
Foul is on Hot Rod Williams.
Hot Rod Williams is called on the foul, his 4th.
Danny Ferry
It means Mike Fratello will probably have to make another move, with Chris Mills already having been pulled for Danny Ferry. And yes, there is Tyrone Hill.
along with Tyrone Hill.
Presence was felt on the boards. In his 10 minutes in the first half, he grabbed 4 rebounds in those 10 minutes.
3 fouls he accumulated sent him to the bench.
Quick whistle underneath.
The foul is on Tyrone
You
Hill.
can see why Tyrone Hill is upset. It was a
That's
very
his
quick
score.
foul, barely in the game.
15 seconds.
It's the 4th foul on Tyrone Hill. Ewing over Doherty. Patrick Ewing is carrying the Knicks offensively. That is 26 points for Ewing.
Doc Rivers is recognizing Ewing's good position and getting him the ball.
Doherty tries to answer. That leaves Oakley wide open, and that's a good feed from Doc Rivers.
See, Rivers is providing the guidance, the leadership that the Knicks need in the backcourt now. He's making terrific decisions, getting people the ball.
Tyrone Hill met by a slew of Knicks who made him pay for that layup attempt, but he does draw the foul.
The foul is on number 54, Charles Smith.
Charles Smith is called for the foul. John Starks did everything he could to have the foul called on him. He raised his hand. He said it was me, but that's not how the call went. Foul number 4 on Smith. Anthony Mason gets the call. He will enter this game. Still misses the first free throw attempt, and Anthony Mason
back for Knicks.
Will come in for Charles Smith.
Hill was 65% foul shooter in his 3 years in the NBA.
1 of 2 that time, and with 5:10 to go in the third quarter, it's a 4-point lead for Cleveland.
John Starks still looking for his first field goal.
Charles Oakley hits again from outside. Oakley with 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting. Yes, John Starks has not taken a shot in the second half yet. 0 for 5 in the first. Tyrone Hill draws another foul inside.
The ball is on Charles Oakley. That's his 13th.
Third foul on Charles Oakley. And the list of players in foul trouble is growing.
One of the problems for the Knicks defensively, Al, is they're letting the big men on Cleveland receive the ball down low. It's so difficult to come out of that situation positively if you're on defense. They've got to do a better job of denying the passing inside, beating the Cavs big men to position that they want, or at least fronting them and getting help from behind. The Knicks aren't working that well defensively beneath the foul line.
John Starks accelerates with Gerald Wilkins. Now Ewing. Ewing around and under Tyrone Hill with the foul. 2 quick fouls on Tyrone Hill, and he now has 5.
Ewing has erupted here in the third quarter against the Cavs. Good pass inside, and Ewing instinctively taking the ball to the basket.
And it's always been the knock on Tyrone Hill. You know, he was 4th in the NBA on rebounds per minute last year with just under 3. It is the foul trouble he so consistently gets in that prevents him from being better than 16th overall in the NBA in rebounds as he was a season ago. So he has to sit. Mike Fratello has to go to his bench again. And both coaches are being forced to do a little coaching with some new and different matchups using their benches.
But with 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter, Ewing already has 12 in the third alone.
Great move by Mark Price. He can't finish it. Mason dancing on Ferry. Patrick Ewing lost the handle, and it's a travel against Patrick Ewing. Patrick thought perhaps it was slapped away, but it is Cleveland ball. Only a 2-point lead for the Cleveland Cavaliers, so the Knicks have come back from 14 down. Very wide open. He's having quite a night. 16 points for Danny Ferry, and I'm sure we wouldn't be alone, John, if we said, why doesn't this happen all the time for Danny Ferry? Patrick Ewing. 30 points for Patrick Ewing. He has matched his Friday night total with 15 minutes plus to go in this game. Steal by Starks with help from Ewing. Patrick Ewing couldn't get it to Starks.
Perfect defense by the Knicks on the pick and roll. Ewing jumping out, forcing Gerald Wilkins away to give up the ball. Starks intercepting it with that deflection. And then Ewing, quick reaction, not on target to John Starks.
Unleashes a 3. Another foul called, a loose ball foul on Gerald Wilkins.
Well, with the Cavs cooling off now, their shooting doesn't in any way represent what they did in the first half. The Knicks are really back in this thing now.
his first basket of the game still. Doherty. Rejected by Ewing. Wilkins stops. Wilkins again. Doherty. And finally the Cavaliers get it. Mason has it stolen away by Wilkins. It's an offensive foul on Danny Ferry. Tensions beginning to grow. The game is tight. The fouls are mounting up. It is a 4-point game now with Cleveland in front. Yes, be careful wherever you're watching.
In the summer of 19...
Know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Crowd of 17,727, very much alive for the last 2 minutes of quarter number 3. A quarter which has seen the Knicks get right back into this game with 12 of 19 shooting. Oakley doing everything to get that rebound, saving it for Ewing. What an effort by Charles Oakley. Starks gets around Doherty and finally has a hoop. John Starks 1 for 8 from the floor. It makes it a 2-point game again.
Best way to break a slump is a shot around the basket. Just to get the feel of putting it in the basket can do it. Don't have to break out with jump shots.
Cavaliers relying on Doherty. It's a team steal. Rivers trying to feed Starks. Just off his fingertips.
Pat Riley knows that the effort is being put forth. This team is working.
Patrick Ewing leading the Knicks in this third quarter. 7 of 8 against 6 of 13.
And that follows a 7 out of 9 from the field in the first half for Ewing.
Well, Mark Price is just as entertaining as it gets to watch. If you like players who can run a game, pass, vision, he thinks nothing dribbling between two guys. Just doesn't hesitate for a moment. And they switch it from one side of the floor to the other for the Cavaliers inbound. Chris Mills for Price. Bangs into Ewing. Finds Mills. Good fake. And the fall away for Chris Mills.
Mills showed a lot of poise on that move. 1 and 2 doors didn't open for him, but he found one by keeping himself together and protecting the ball on the dribble.
10 on the 24-second clock. Rivers uses the Mason screen. Ewing. What a quarter Patrick Ewing is having. 32 points for Patrick Ewing. Doherty pestered by Oakley. 4 on the 24-second clock. Doherty is fouled with 1 second on the 24-second clock. And Greg Anthony, with 21 and a half to go in the third quarter, enters the game for Doc Rivers.
That's his third penalty situation.
Doc leaves with 6 points and 11 assists. 11 assists for Doc Rivers.
Well, he was delivering that ball to Patrick Ewing in the third quarter here. Rivers had 5 assists in the first half.
Hubert Davis.
Doherty with a rare miscue. He's done so many good things tonight. Misses on the first free throw. Hubert Davis into the game. So is Tony Campbell. Campbell saw minutes in the first half as well. Pat Riley has used everyone in the game except Rolando Blackman.
And what Greg Anthony obviously has to focus on is getting the ball to Ewing as well as Rivers did.
Last shot for the Knicks. Greg Anthony. Bryant Davis. Now Mason. This will be it. And Anthony Mason brings the Knicks to within one. That's the closest they've been since early in the second quarter. And that one went the length of the floor and goes off the rim. Patrick Ewing in a third quarter to remember shoots 8 of 9 and drops in 16 points. Back to Richfield in a moment. The Cleveland Cavaliers have seen their one-time lead of 14 shaved to only 1. Patrick Ewing hitting 8 consecutive shots as the Knicks get ready to head home as we look at the Delta Airlines upcoming schedule. The home opener Tuesday against the Philadelphia 76ers. Wednesday's game at the Bullets on MSG2, and then at Indiana for the Pacers on Friday. Al Trawigan for Marv Albert along with John Andres in what should be an interesting fourth quarter with things tightening up. Seven on the 24-second clock. Ferry with a great move.
Well, the criticism of Danny Ferry is that he can't make his own shot happen. He's been getting open jumpers tonight, but that move against Mason was very well done.
18 points on 8 of 10 shooting for Danny Ferry. Hubert Davis for Patrick Ewing. Tony Campbell. It's a complete reversal of the first half numbers. The Knicks in the third quarter, 65%.
Great play by Ewing.
Tony Campbell is fouled as he got the ball.
The second time Ewing has successfully jumped out and stolen the pass.
That's his second.
This time he was able to keep his hands on the ball and deliver it properly.
Gerald Madkins was called for the foul. 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Ewing was pushed off the court on that play by Doherty. No foul call.
Davis on the drive. Hubert Davis.
Hubert Davis.
Knicks down by 1 once again. Davis with 6 points off the bench. Almost lost by Chris Mills, and a foul. It'll be on Greg Anthony.
Foul is on number 50, Greg Anthony. That's his third team first.
Third foul on Greg Anthony.
You know Pat Riley's going to stay with Hubert Davis, Al. He has the ability to break that defense down, as he just showed him.
Mike Fratello just has to give Mark Price a little bit of a rest, and instead of going with John Battle, which he didn't like too much of on Friday night to run this team, he's got Gerald Madkins out there running the show. Now Battle. John Battle rolls it in. 86-83 Cleveland. Campbell guarded by Mills. Doherty on Ewing. Hubert Davis gets by John Battle, and Anthony Mason breaks free.
Nice pass from Hubert Davis. Meanwhile, you have to focus on the fact that Ewing hasn't touched the ball very much now since Rivers left the floor.
It's up on 3 minutes, and we're talking about a Patrick Ewing who had hit 8 straight shots in the third quarter. Battle for 3. Well short. All Knicks underneath. Mason pulls up. It's a Chris Mills rebound.
Well, the Knicks miss Oakley on the offensive boards.
And Mason collides with Doherty and is furious at the foul call.
On Anthony Mason.
Greg Anthony over there to do some damage control.
Hot rod back to the cast.
Mason fighting for position. Very aggressive, a lot of contact. Foul called on him.
Patrick Ewing is going to get a rest as Charles Oakley enters the game. comes with Brad Doherty leaving for Hot Rod Williams. Oakley right off the bench to grab the rebound and draw a loose ball foul.
Looks like the foul is called by Mason on Oakley. Danny Ferry seemed to have left the scene of the foul, but the foul was called on him.
4 fouls now on Danny Ferry. Greg Anthony continuing to run things for the Knicks. Mason saved by Oakley. 10 on the 24. Greg Anthony hits from long range.
Gigantic shot for Greg Anthony and the Knicks.
And for the first time since the first quarter when they led 10-9, the Knicks lead it 87-86. Oh, Oakley and Gerald Matkins go down to the floor hard. Pat Riley's out there. Pleading, perhaps. You know, there's a great sensitivity for flagrant fouls this season. The Knicks bench is furious. So is Riley.
Ball going against the Knicks. Coaching staff upset to say the least.
Riley's out at mid-court. Dick Carter is out there yelling a couple of things.
The flagrant foul one.
It is a flagrant foul one called on Charles Oakley. Now, you know the rule this season. You get to 5, accumulating points for a level 1 and level 2 flagrant foul, and then you're suspended.
It certainly had the look that Charles Oakley was looking to create what he often does and draw the offensive foul. It's impossible to see where the unnecessary rough part of the play came on that look. Take another look at Oakley now coming into the picture. Well, with Charles extending the hands out after the contact, perhaps that's the judgment of the officials that that was unnecessary roughness on his part.
Gerald Matkins hits the free throw and is pulled from the game in favor of Mark Price. It is a level 1 flagrant foul against Charles Oakley. He now has 1 point.
Now, a flagrant foul specifically is defined as unnecessary contact by a player against an opponent. So the raising of the arms by Charles must have been the reason that that flagrant was called.
Knicks had 20 flagrant fouls called on them last year, and many call this new point system the Knick rule. Hot Rod Williams pushes off Oakley. Pat Riley screams, "What is that? What is that?" 7 on the 24-second clock. Greg Anthony creates the steal, and the Cavaliers can't save it. It is Knick ball with 7:54 to go. And there's a very tense atmosphere here, and the tension is being felt on the Knick bench.
Both teams playing extremely hard. This game has a lot of meaning to the hometown. They want to get off to a win here.
Tony Campbell. Tony's having a tough time hitting the shots that the Knicks so desperately need him to hit in his minutes. He's 1 for 5.
You know, Pat Riley likes to match up with, he matched up against the shorter Mills.
John Battle fouled by Charles Oakley. He's furious again.
Foul is on Charles Oakley. That's his fifth.
That's 5 on Oakley. Oakley's been so important to the Knicks. 15 points, 5 of 7 shooting, and 16 rebounds.
Well, you just knew Patrick Ewing was about to come back in after the rest that he so very much needed.
Ewing re-enters the game. Mike Fratello counters by reinserting Brad Doherty. Both big men out there with 7:28 to go, and John Battle on the line.
Battle off an excellent showing in the opening game against Milwaukee the other night. 22 points.
90-87, Cavaliers with the lead again. Ewing for Anthony. Can't get the layup to go. That was some look by Patrick Ewing. Price gets away from Anthony.
stuck with Doc Rivers, stuck with Greg Anthony in the latter stages of the game the other night in Boston. And Greg is getting the call again, it looks like. I must point out, Al, Rivers has done a terrific job against Mark Price tonight and last year.
6:52 to go in the fourth. First flagrant foul of the season. He now has 1 point against him in the 5-point, then you're suspended for a game system. He thinks this change in the NBA is less than macho. Listen up.
27.
I guess, you know, after this year, a couple years on the road, the league gonna make a movie or something and ask a couple of people to come audition for roles and, you know, so wear dresses or whatever. NBA movie, everybody wear dresses so everybody can be nice to one another.
An overstatement, perhaps.
Charles had his tongue in his cheek, Al. So look at that flagrant foul call. Charles raising the arms as he attempted to draw the offensive foul on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, a ruling unnecessary contact. And that was why the flagrant was called.
Hubert Davis to the free throw line. The Knicks so far in this game have made 35 field goals. They have 31 assists. That means they are successful when they're passing the ball. Now, this fourth quarter offense that we've seen being run by Greg Anthony, as you mentioned, John, is in no way as successful as the offense which featured Patrick Ewing and a total comeback in this game in the third quarter. 6:40 to go.
Wicked pick set by Danny Ferry on Greg Anthony, who got rocked. Meanwhile, the turnover occurred, and the Knicks now have an opportunity.
Anthony tries to lose Price. It's Davis as they find Patrick Ewing spinning beautifully and falling in.
That's a new move by Patrick down low, showing a lot of flexibility in his body as he moves around in that low pivot area.
Knicks down by a basket once again with 6:10 to go in the fourth quarter. Doherty keeps working on Ewing. Rebound by Tyrone Hill. Price left open. Patrick Ewing posting out high. He spins again on Doherty and is fouled as he gets to the basket. Patrick Ewing to the free throw line. Back, but first, here's Bob Page at the sports desk.
Yeah, it's San Antonio Nets on the break. Kenny Anderson will find Derek Coleman for an early jam. Injured Chris Morris did start tonight's game. New Jersey led 23-15 after one. Second quarter just underway. Back to you.
All right, Bob. Patrick Ewing at the free throw line for the Knicks, and he hits the first. Ewing has been the man. 16 of 19 from the floor. He hits the free throws, and now Patrick Ewing has 36 points to lead all scorers. It is he and Charles Oakley, then the rest of the Knick team in single digits. Price. Patrick Ewing doing it at this end of the floor. The rebound. With the Knicks down by a basket, a chance to tie or better.
Challenge for Anthony is to get the ball in tight, get it in close, make a penetrating move.
Ewing throws it away. Cavaliers running. Mark Price throws it away, but Jack Madden says it's deflected by the Knicks. The Knicks are livid. Did a member of the Knicks touch this ball?
Certainly didn't look it, but it doesn't matter. The Cavs have it back.
Hubert Davis, a good defensive job to prevent Wilkins from making anything happen. That's a badly timed behind the back pass by Gerald Wilkins.
So now Gerald's 1 out of 2 behind the back tonight, Al. The early one worked.
John Starks takes off his warm-up, getting set to check in. Davis almost gives it away. 7 on the 24-second clock. Greg Anthony hits it again. Greg Anthony's hit his last 2 from distance. And it is a tie game with 4 minutes and 18 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Timeout on the floor at the Richfield Coliseum.
Get ready for the action, the suspense, the
Greg
excitement.
Anthony's last jump shot tied the game, and the preceding one put the Knicks ahead by 1. Knicks moving the ball around. Anthony Mason, the Greg Anthony who hasn't shot much, but he's made 2 very big jump shots tonight.
And he hits that one over Danny Ferry. Anthony will remain in the game. He'll be joined by John Starks, Charles Smith, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason. Brad Daugherty to the floor with Tyrone Hill, Chris Mills, the rookie, Gerald Wilkins, and Mark Price. We're tied at 94, a game in which the Cavaliers led by as many as 14 points in the 2nd quarter. The Knicks got back into it in the 3rd, and it's remained tight here in the 4th.
33 points in all for the Cavaliers here in the 2nd half after a 61-point first half.
7 on the 24-second clock. Mark Price runs into a wall, and it's an offensive foul drawn by Greg Anthony and Charles Smith. A perfectly timed, well-executed double team on Mark Price.
Offensive foul on Mark Price is his 3rd team foul.
Any good defensive player lives to stay in front of the offense, and Greg Anthony rejoices at that fine play he made.
Under 4 minutes to go. Starks a chilly night shooting-wise. Lays it off for Mason in traffic. It's Cavalier ball. Wilkins stripped as he rolls to the basket.
Anthony made the play. It appears that Gerald Wilkins congratulated Greg Anthony on that fine play Greg made.
Wilkins with the ball. Daugherty given some room by Ewing. 10 on the 24-second clock. Chris Mills. Air ball out of bounds.
Oh, what a great box out by Ewing. We don't get a chance to talk about outstanding boxing out much, Al, in the NBA. All the players feel that they can outjump their opponents, but Ewing had Daugherty pinned beautifully.
Ewing, just another subtle thing in a night when the obvious things are so prevalent for him. Obvious like points, 36. Obvious like rebounds, 7. Dumps it inside for Charles Smith. Stopped inside by Chris Mills.
Danny Ferry returns from Cavs
6'6" Chris Mills. Nice job by him.
Mills leaves. Ferry returns. So the big 3 offensive threats for the Cavaliers, Price, Daugherty, and Ferry, are all back on the floor. Greg Anthony fouled on the shot. And Tyrone Hill has fouled out of this game if it's on him.
The ball is on Tyrone Hill.
He's gone. That is the 6th personal foul on Tyrone Hill. And he will be out of this one.
Greg Anthony getting around Mark Price. You can see Hill's hand touching Greg's left wrist on that play.
Pat Riley goes to his bench. Charles Oakley will play with 5 personal fouls with 3:07 to go. Charles Smith takes a seat.
Knicks making huge strides here in their first 2 games in their foul shooting. 85%.
Greg Anthony makes it 95-94. 9 points for Greg Anthony, 1 assist. Knicks now 20 of 24 from the free throw line. It is their lead, 96-94, 3 minutes to go.
Price looking to strike inside at Daugherty.
Price trying to get away from Anthony. Challenges Ewing inside and finds Hot Rod Williams.
Great play by Price.
Let's take their time to set up the offense. They actually start moving it with about 15 on the 24-second clock. Ewing. Mason saves it. Starks for three. Ewing with a huge follow and a foul on the putback. That is indicative of how Patrick Ewing has started this season. Carrying the team on Friday, carrying the team tonight. Timeout with 2:21 to go. With Brad Daugherty draped all over him.
Gigantic, inspiring performance here by Ewing.
Knicks turn up the defensive pressure. Danny Ferry.
Danny Ferry certainly has given Mike Fratello reason to have confidence.
It was a three-pointer that gave the Cavs the lead. Starks missing there. 1:20 to go. 101-100 Cleveland.
Boy, Pat Riley is sticking with John Starks despite his abysmal shooting tonight.
Ferry with 21 points. That three-pointer was just a continuation of what has been a great game for him. Price lays it off for Daugherty. Wilkins. It does not count. The 24-second clock had expired, and the Knicks say timeout on the floor. With 54.4 seconds to go, the Cavaliers holding on to the slimmest of leads. Back with
who hasn't let them down all night. Soft shot by Ewing made it 100-98 in favor of the Knicks. Danny Ferry, three-point shot, long bomb. That ties his career high of 21 points that he scored in 1990, his rookie year against Portland.
So not since his rookie year has Danny Ferry had a night like this on an NBA basketball floor. The timeout story, 2 apiece full, 1 apiece on the 20. Nobody's got a foul to give on this night full of fouls. 54.4 seconds to go. Anthony almost stolen by Price.
Wonder why Anthony waited for Price to get back into play.
Starks. Anthony, 10 on the 24. Almost stolen away. Anthony fires. Rebounded by Danny Ferry, the hero of the moment. The Cavs get the ball. They call a timeout. It's a 20-second timeout with 34 seconds to go. In crunch time, things got a bit sloppy for the Knicks.
Beginning of that last possession by the Knicks, Price misses. Anthony now has a 5-on-4 for the Knicks, but he doesn't strike. He doesn't go into the heart of the defense. He had 5 Knicks against 4 Cavs. Then Price came back into the play, and it got balanced again. They lost that opportunity to penetrate.
And then you see Daugherty overplaying Ewing. That created one of the first problems. And then Danny Ferry coming down with the huge rebound. And he had to battle Ewing and Mason and Oakley to get it.
I can recall Greg's rookie year a couple of years ago in a situation similar to this where he had the opportunity to make the game-winning shot. But he knows what tough moments are here in the Cleveland Coliseum.
34 seconds to go. The Cavaliers begin to march up the floor. Their lead is 1. Anthony. It's all cleared out for Price to create something.
Price has proven he can shoot over Greg Anthony thus far.
He drives and dishes, and Daugherty is fouled. Undermined by John Starks.
Foul is on number 3.
Daugherty is okay, it appears. Fourth foul on John Starks.
You know, Al, I must say, it just seems to me, based on the play of Doc Rivers defensively against Price, that Pat Riley has taken a big chance here. And he obviously is thinking down the road as Price gets around Greg. Price a very tough player for anyone to deal with. But Pat is thinking down the road and obviously trying to build Greg Anthony's confidence in tense moments like this, as he did Friday night in Boston.
Brad Daugherty with 23 points. 24 points. It is a 3-point lead as Mike Fratello searches for his first win as head coach of the Cavaliers. Seconds to go. The Cavaliers hold a 3-point lead. It will be Nick Ball. The Knicks will return home and open this season their 48th in the NBA against the 76ers at Madison Square Garden. Our coverage begins with Sports Desk and Game Night at 7 o'clock right here on MSG. Well, one of the questions right now is who takes the three-pointer that the Knicks lead. John Starks is having a dismal, horrible night from the floor. Doc Rivers, who's hit 2, doesn't look like he's getting set to come in.
Al, I think the strategy will be to go for the quick 2 and then hopefully contain the Cavaliers. I don't think they have to wait for a 3. I really don't.
Wow. 15.2 to go.
That's plenty of time, but they got to do it quickly. If 5 seconds go by, then they've got to go for the 3. They've got to strike quickly for the 2.
I think my idea would be take a patient 3 rather than a rush 2. I mean,
look who's coming into our picture now.
For the first time this season, Rolando Blackman. With 15.2 seconds to go in Game 2, he makes his first appearance, and you know why.
I think he's a decoy for Starks or Davis. And I think Pat Riley would rather see Hubert Davis taking the 3.
Mason will do the inbounding.
Normally Starks, but he's just been so off tonight. 1 for 10.
Do they go for 2 or go for the tie with 3? Ferry all over Mason. Delay of game warning, which the Cavaliers could give, so they get a free look at least the beginning of what the Knicks had in mind. Mason finally gets it in. Starks racing, finds Ferry in front of it.
Now it's got to be a 3.
7 to go. The fan drives at Richfield. It looks like it's Starks. Got it! John Starks, the hero for the Knicks. The game is tied. He was 1 for 10 until the moment came when the Knicks needed a hero, and that's the way we've become used to seeing John Starks perform. There are 1.7 seconds to go.
One-on-one play by John Starks. He's all by himself now, thanks to that pick by Ewing, the mismatch favoring Starks, who has never stopped believing in himself. Nick Bench on the shot by Starks. Are they happy?
Yes, they are. Oh, it's quite a moment. You know, the entire crowd, almost 18,000, began to rise at 7, 8 seconds. Fratello, everybody on both benches was up. Now, Mike Fratello's going to get that first win as Cavaliers coach.
A helpless coach.
It's going to be a struggle. Well, now he's got 1.7 seconds to coach and come up with something.
Boy, the lines are deep around his eyes already, huh?
Well, Cleveland, of course, has one of the more potent weapons in Mark Price. Danny Ferry's just having a night to remember. He hit the big 3 moments ago. A career night. Actually, a career-tying night for Danny Ferry. If you're a Cavaliers fan, on the first night without Larry Nance, you look at this and you say, maybe we'll be okay until Larry Nance comes back.
Well, this guy, as they say, stepped up. Danny Ferry with a gigantic night. The Cavs don't have time for an exchange of the basketball on the inbound. Whoever gets that ball has got to shoot it. They will try and set a pick for an open shot.
Cavaliers take the floor, and it will be Brad Daugherty. Gerald Wilkins, you know, he had a couple of big shots when he was with the Knicks. I remember one buzzer beater at the Sports Arena in L.A. that we were at. John, so and also the rookie Chris Mills is out there. Danny Ferry will pass the ball in. Oakley, Mason, Ewing, Anthony, and Starks.
When you see Ferry taking it out, then you get the feeling he could be getting it back, but I just don't think there's time for that exchange to take place.
Knicks could take a delay of game here to get a quick look at what the Cavs have in mind.
You do need a tall man inbounding the ball, though, over the defense. That's why Ferry has the ball. He's 6'10".
Ferry gets it in. Ewing stolen by Anthony, and the Knicks call time as the buzzer sounds.
At the end of regulation.
Ewing has done it all night. He's been able to reach around the defense and deflect those passes.
That was a quick 1.7 seconds, but the buzzer sounded before anybody could call time and actually get it executed. So we're going to overtime. We're headed into overtime in game 2 of this NBA season for both of these teams. Knicks trying to go 2-0. Cavaliers trying to win their first. It is 1:03. The Cavs had a chance with 1.7 seconds to go to make something happen.
Ferry on the inbound, long lead pass inside. Ewing got his hand on that ball, intended for Doherty. And Greg Anthony recovered the loose ball. Take another look at it with the clock now. Clock starts as soon as the man receiving the ball inbounds touches the ball. Cavs were unable to get a shot off. Terrific defense by the Knicks.
Knicks did not exactly love overtime last season. They were 3-5 in the overtime. It is Nick Ball.
Knicks ball
from the very beginning.
I think that was a stolen tip by the Cavs, meaning that the ball on the toss by the official did not get up to its proper height before it's touched by a player. If you tip it on a jump ball before it gets up high, it's a violation.
If you're a coach, one thing you hate is to have a game go to overtime where you've already lost 2 players. Great overplay by Doherty to take the ball away from the Knicks. Tyrone Hill and Hot Rod Williams both on the bench with 6 fouls. Offensive foul call against Cleveland.
Brad Doherty. That's his 4th.
Pushing off on the pick that he was setting. See Doherty there dipping his right shoulder. Any motion by the big man setting the pick above the waist is a foul.
Anthony gets it going. Oakley battles Doherty. Unbelievable save. Ewing misses the dunk. And now it's 3-on-2. Followed by Gerald Wilkins. On a 40-point night, Patrick Ewing misses the dunk on an unbelievable save by Charles Oakley. And that'll be a foul against Cleveland and Brad Doherty.
The foul is on Brad Doherty. That's his.
I wouldn't be surprised if Starks was saying to Greg Anthony, they just had a meeting, take that shot, Greg. He was wide open, but having missed the last jump shot, he wasn't even interested in shooting a moment ago.
In the first minute of overtime, Doherty records fouls 4 and 5. So he and Oakley now play with 5 fouls. John Starks. Rebound Oakley. He gets the follow, gets the tip.
What a play by Oakley, as he has so often done in the past. Gets the rebound, misses the follow, but then tips in to miss.
3:40 in overtime. John Starks hitting a 3-pointer to send it into the overtime with 1.7 seconds to go in regulation. Doherty fouled by Ewing. You know, things happen so fast, John, at the end of regulation. We almost didn't have enough time to talk about how improbable it was that John Starks on a 1-for-10 night could hit that 3-pointer.
Now we have that opportunity, Al, and we'll just say it was most improbable.
24 points for Brad Doherty at the line. Cavaliers with the lead again, 106-105, 107-105. Ewing with Oakley and Mason. Starks and Anthony. What a pass. What a pass by John Starks.
And what a difficult shot by Anthony Mason. That wasn't a layup. That was a bit of a shot, like a mini hook shot.
Knotted up at 107. Price for Ferry. Gets past 2 Knicks. Mills. Back for Ferry. Thinking 3. Air ball out of bounds.
With too much rush for Ferry to deal with that long shot. Was unable to get his legs into it.
and Ferry. It is Cavaliers ball. Well, Charles Oakley is really giving it his all tonight. Oakley on the game, 17 points and 20 rebounds now for New York. Bills almost lost it. 10 on the 24-second clock. Ewing on the Wilkins miss. 2:15 to go. Score tied at 107. Starks with the running one-hander. Followed unbelievably by Charles Oakley.
What a game by Charles. What a game in front of the hometown crowd. Charles from John Jay High School here in Cleveland has really delivered a stupendous game.
Well, he's got 30 fans up in the stands. He bought 30 tickets for this game. They're probably afraid to cheer right now because he has given the Knicks a 109-107 lead with 1:53 to go in overtime. Rebounded the Cavaliers in overtime 6-1. You can credit both of these things to Charles Oakley.
John Starks continuing his more aggressive offensive play now, but look at Oakley coming in left side and the tip in from the right side.
Earlier in overtime, Charles Oakley diving out of bounds, saved one for Patrick Ewing, who missed on the dunk, but it's indicative of how he's played tonight.
Charles's goal this year, as he said before the season began, was 10 rebounds, 10 points a game.
1 minute, 53 seconds to go. Danny Ferry on the inbound. Knicks turn up the defensive pressure. Starks on Wilkins. There's 10 on the 24-second clock. 7. 5. Ferry missing on the 3. Ewing is fouled by Gerald Wilkins. Ewing went as high as his body possibly can to try and grab that rebound.
First in the last 2 minutes.
Big sequence now for the Knicks.
Ferry, after hitting that big three-pointer at the later stages of regulation, has missed his last 2 from outside. Starks, Francis, stutter steps, Mason, and the Knicks now have a 111-107 lead.
Big shot by Mason, who has struggled a bit from the field tonight, but he, like Starks, comes through now.
Mark Price tries to make it happen. Mason moving up the floor with Anthony and Starks, and he decides to hold it up and chew up some clock. Pat Riley calls out play 5, and we're about to see what it is. Under a minute. Ewing, saved by Chris Mills. Cavs down 4. Bodies everywhere in front of the Knicks bench. Greg Anthony is hurt. A huge collision as Greg Anthony went down right in front of the Knicks bench. He's up and all right.
He has gotten rocked several times tonight.
First in the last 2 minutes.
This is a foul called on Ewing.
Take a look now at Greg Anthony getting picked off by the 7-foot Brad Daugherty. Anthony committed to staying with his man. Daugherty leaning in on him, committing that tremendous contact against Anthony.
Back live on the inbound. Ferry had to go high to save that Wilkins pass. Price looks inside. Mills saves it. Price again. He meets Ewing. Wilkins, and it's a Ewing rebound, and again, as he soars up to grab it, he is fouled on his way down.
This ball follows on Chris Mills. That's his 4th penalty.
4th foul on Chris Mills. Cavs really struggling to hit the shots here in the last couple of minutes of the overtime. 27.5 seconds to go. The Knicks 111. The Cavaliers 107. It's been a long, hard second half for the Knicks to erase that first half 14-point Cavalier lead. And they've begun to file out of the Richfield Coliseum.
Led by Patrick Ewing, who ignited the team in the 3rd quarter. Knicks came out with a whole different personality.
That's 41 points on the night now for Ewing, 10 rebounds. He and Charles Oakley have really been the story of this game tonight.
46 points now for the Cavs in the second half, including overtime, after a 61-point first half. Big defensive adjustment for the Knicks in the second half.
Cavs call timeout. They've got little time to do what seems to be a lot. Well, the Cavaliers are getting set to complete their second home game. The Knicks haven't done that yet. That will be Tuesday at Madison Square Garden. Sean Bradley and the Philadelphia 76ers will be in on MSG. If you can't be there in person, our coverage begins at 7 o'clock with the MSG Sports Desk and Knicks Game Night. That's Tuesday night at Madison Square Garden and on MSG. We've got 27.5 seconds to go. The Knicks have taken over a 6-point lead here in the overtime, outscoring the Cavaliers 10-4.
Well, Charles Oakley's career high for rebounds is 35 in 1988 for the Bulls when he was a member of the Bulls. With the Knicks, it's a 24 rebound game in 1991 against Charlotte.
Knicks defense part of the factor in the Cavaliers 1 for 7 shooting here in the OT. They're going to have to make something happen quick. Price for Ferry. He's been a star all night, but not in overtime. 0 for 3 in the overtime. Danny Ferry. Here's Ewing with Doherty back. And Brad Doherty commits the foul. That will remove him from the game.
How about the strength of Oakley at this point in the overtime and the game, going up for the rebound that he just got the way he did, swooping in for that rebound. I believe that's number 22 for Charles.
Yes, it is. 22 rebounds. And John, we often talk about the level of conditioning that the Knicks, hope to reach as the season goes along. It's such an intangible, but you wonder if part of the overtime success is due to the conditioning of the Knicks.
Well, no question about it. When you look at Oakley go up for that ball as strongly as he did, that really makes the statement about conditioning.
3 Cavaliers fouling out tonight. Tyrone Hill, Hot Rod Williams, and now Brad Doherty. Knicks definitely doing it on the line. 86% as Patrick Ewing makes it 115-107. This will just about do it. Price for Ferry, almost stolen by Anthony, and that is it. The New York Knicks have overcome the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight at the Richfield Coliseum. The final score in overtime, 115-107. On a night when the defense wasn't its best until the time that it needed to be, and a night when the offense wasn't at its best until they needed to get back in the game. The Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime. Our post-game coverage when we come back to Richfield, Ohio. The final, 115-107. Well, tonight's game in Richfield went to overtime, and the Knicks were able to overcome the Cleveland Cavaliers 115-107. But the chance to play the overtime was certainly created in great dramatic fashion by John Starks. It is the Coca-Cola Classic play of tonight's game. Going into this setup by the Knicks, Starks was 1 for 10, 15 seconds to go when the play began, and watch what happened as Starks races to the corner and unleashes off the dribble a three-pointer that tied the game and gave the Cleveland Cavaliers only 1.7 seconds to work with, and they got nothing out of that. Off into overtime we went. The Tri-State Jeep and Eagle scoring summary features Patrick Ewing. 44 points tonight. Ewing also with 10 rebounds. Charles Oakley, 19 points and 22 rebounds. A huge double-double. John Starks waking up at just the right time. 11 points. Greg Anthony, who ran the show for the fourth quarter and the overtime for the Knicks, had 10. Mason and Smith with 8 apiece. As for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had 3 men who really were the offensive story for the entire game. Brad Doherty, 26 points and 11 rebounds. Danny Ferry, 21 points, tying his career high. Mark Price, 19 points and 12 assists. Gerald Wilkins, 11, and Hot Rod Williams with 9. When we come back, a few more thoughts on tonight's Knicks victory. If you want to know how the Knicks felt about it, just take a look.
Dunk of the Game is brought to you by Budweiser, fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud.
And the Bud dunk of the game. John Starks over the head pass to Patrick Ewing, who executed with one dribble, a lot of acreage, and the Bud dunk of the game.
Patrick with a huge night tonight for the Knicks in a strange game, really, when you contrast what the Knicks looked like in the first half compared to what they looked like in the second half. But then again, that's sort of what we got used to on Friday night.
Yes, on Friday night it was just the other way around. The Knicks had a soft fourth quarter, but tonight they really had it when they needed it, and in most dramatic fashion. But you know, the story in many ways will be Patrick Ewing's tremendous all-around game. He carried the team in the second half with 28 points, but Charles Oakley carried this team throughout the game. He had an incredible Charles Oakley game.
He really did, and you know John Starks will get his name in the headline too. 1 for 10 until that big three-pointer with just 1.7 seconds left in regulation that pushed this one into overtime. But the NatWest Bank's player of the game is clearly Patrick Ewing. 44 points, 10 rebounds. You put that together with the 30 points he had on Friday night, and he's got 74 points in 2 games. That's Patrick Ewing, the NatWest Bank's player of the game. Well, I get a chance to take a look at one of the hoops Patrick had tonight. Boy, he challenged the middle time and time again.
Patrick hung in the air for a little bit of time on that move at 7 feet. That was some move by Ewing.
That was an important basket late in regulation. When we have them on, guests receive the American Express gift check. Think of it as a universal certificate that can be used to buy anything just about anywhere. Gift checks are available where American Express traveler's checks are sold. Well, the Richfield Coliseum is just about empty now. Almost 18,000 watch the Knicks roar back in the second half and take this one in overtime, 115 to 107. Of course, the Knicks now will be flying home tonight and get ready for the Philadelphia 76ers. It'll be the lasers, the smoke, and all the excitement of the home opener against Sean Bradley in Philadelphia. Sports Desk and Game Night begin our coverage. Page 1 is next. Good night, everyone.